Democrats must recognize that Zohran Mamdani is the future of the party. Unfortunately, it's the Republican Party. Even the country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
What happened next caught viewers completely off guard. Bill Maher didn't hold back as he went after Zohran Mamdani and AOC with sharp criticism during a live broadcast. There was no soft introduction or careful approach. He challenged their arguments head-on from the very start. It quickly turned into one of his most talked-about confrontations of the year. Before we continue, if you enjoy quick political commentary and in-depth breakdowns, make sure to subscribe. It only takes a moment. Now let's get into what happened.
Democrats must recognize that Zohran Mamdani is the future of the party. Unfortunately, it's the Republican Party. Get it? And if you missed his victory speech in last week's mayoral election in New York, don't worry. You'll see it in every attack ad for the next 2 years. Now, Mamdani seems like a nice guy, and I congratulate him on an extraordinary political achievement. But before the whole left side of the country catches socialism fever, let's listen to the other big winner in last Tuesday's election, Virginia Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger, who, before the 24 election, said things like, if the party didn't shift to the center, we will get torn apart. And we need to never use the word socialist or socialism ever again. Well, she was right, but they didn't listen.
Maher argued that the situation almost speaks for itself. From his perspective, the Democratic Party's newest rising figure has become an unexpected advantage for Republicans. After Mamdani's victory in New York City's 2025 mayoral race, the spotlight shifted to a candidate who openly identifies as a democratic socialist. Maher contrasted that approach with Spanberger's more moderate strategy, saying the two represent completely different directions, and he believes only one offers Democrats a realistic path back to broader voter support.
I was elected as a democratic socialist, and I will govern as a democratic socialist.
According to Maher, this is where the Democrats' public messaging begins to fall apart. He didn't try to soften his remarks or make them sound less controversial. Instead, he argued that the party is sending voters two completely different messages. While some Democratic leaders are pushing for a return to more moderate positions, Maher believes the party's newest high-profile figure is moving in the opposite direction. In his view, that split creates a serious political problem, and critics say it's becoming harder for Democrats to present a united message.
Democrats seem to be having this debate whether or not Mayor Mamdani is a socialist or a democratic socialist. Let me settle it. He's a straight-up communist. How do I know this? Well, I'm reading between the lines when one of his major advisors says, elect more communists. Which is fine. It's fine. It's a belief system. He's allowed to believe it, and people are allowed to vote for it. But if liberals deny it, like he's just going through a goth phase...
Maher argued that people can debate labels all they want, but he believes the bigger issue is the direction of the movement. Gutfeld took an even more direct approach, saying that when voices closed to the new mayor openly encourage voters to support more candidates with far-left views, the message is already clear. According to critics, the biggest mistake Democrats could make is treating this as a temporary trend instead of recognizing it as a growing shift within the party.
Make me forget that his wife loved October 7th attack on Israel and that he pals around with...
Come on. Have you had him on the show?
We ask people like that, Ro. They never come.
I'll talk to him.
I would love that. I think he should too.
No, and I think if you tell him
I do too. I would love to talk to him.
He's a smart guy, and I think you would find...
I'm not saying he's not a smart guy. He went to the White House.
Yeah.
I mean, he went there, but he can't come here.
At this point, Maher's tone turned much more serious. He argued that the debate is no longer centered on issues like taxes or housing policies, but on the people a leader chooses to align with and the ideas they support. Critics also claim that Mamdani's positions on foreign policy have provided Republicans with a powerful political talking point they can use against Democrats.
AOC Bernie Sanders' rally in Idaho last month, someone threw a Palestinian flag over an American flag, and the crowd erupted in approval. What should have happened after that is one of the adults on stage should have told their young, loyal followers, this is not a symbol of freedom.
Maher argued that one moment from the rally captured a much larger issue. Speaking about an event featuring AOC and Bernie, he said the image of an American flag being overshadowed by another nation's flag sent the wrong message. In his view, the leaders on stage should have addressed it immediately, but chose not to. Critics say that silence reflects a broader problem within today's progressive movement, arguing that when national symbols lose their place among a party's own supporters, it raises questions about the movement's priorities and public image.
AOC, what? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half opinions, in need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life. The reason why she gets along with Bernie is because she's like an 80-year-old leftist in a used bookstore. I mean, she may look fresh, but she's as stale as an abandoned futon on the street. It's like, I listen to her, I go, I heard that at Berkeley in 1983.
Gutfeld argued that AOC is presenting ideas he believes have been around for decades, simply delivered through a modern social media style. Maher expanded on that point, suggesting that today's Democratic Party often mistakes popularity with younger voters for broader political appeal. A recent Republic poll found AOC holding an 85% favorability rating among Democratic voters. But critics argue that this figure highlights her strong support within the party rather than demonstrating widespread appeal across the broader electorate.
There's the other side, where somewhere Sarah Palin is going, I'm off the hook, right?
Yeah.
And here's the deal. Here's the deal. Sarah was only off by 56 miles. AOC was off half a continent south of the equator. And listen, you didn't know where Venezuela was at, but you were the first person, if someone doesn't say Ocasio with the right nomenclature, you're a racist. You're a Latino who doesn't know where Latino countries are.
Yeah.
Or where horses come from.
Or anything. And the other one, Whitmer, was basically like, from my vantage point, are we bird watching? This is the DEI administration versus the take care of business administration. AOC's career is over. No, as far as running, there is no way anyone would ever take her seriously.
Critics argue this is an issue many Democratic supporters would rather avoid. They point to AOC's reputation for strongly challenging others on policy and political issues, then contrast it with a televised moment in which she reportedly misidentified a country on a world map. Tyrus claimed that incident exposed what he sees as a pattern of confidence outweighing preparation. Maher suggested that more voters are beginning to notice that contrast. He then turned to comments AOC made about a term that many believe became a major political liability for Democrats during the 2024 election.
How to win. And he blamed the Democratic losses this November 2nd on stupid wokeness, to which AOC fired back that wokeness is a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. So that should tell you all you need to know. What? This is a term folks like you brought out very recently and have been proudly displaying at every march since. Just last year, The Guardian declared woke the word of our era. I guess they didn't get the memo from the Mean Girls Club. We don't use that emoji anymore. Woke, please. We say fetch now.
Maher argued that this was the point where AOC unintentionally weakened her own position. Instead of directly responding to the criticism, he claimed she focused on changing the language people use rather than addressing the concerns themselves. According to critics, that reflects a broader strategy they associate with today's progressive movement, shifting the debate toward terminology whenever the underlying ideas face public resistance.
The country's oldest Latino civil rights group came out against it, yet AOC keeps defending it, saying gender is fluid, language is fluid. Yes, and Latino voters are fluid.
Maher pointed to the 2024 election as evidence that the political landscape is changing. He noted that the Republican presidential candidate received 48% of the Hispanic vote, an increase of 12 points compared with 2020, and the party's strongest showing with Hispanic voters in more than 2 decades. Maher argued that despite those results, AOC chose to challenge the interpretation of the outcome instead of reconsidering the message Democrats were sending to voters.
You say that New Yorkers are learning so much about him. Essentially, that's your way of saying New York, again, this is not a socialist town. What he's offering is not going to work. Why wouldn't it work in New York City, sir?
Maher argued that New York stands at the center of global finance, major media, and one of the world's largest private sector economies. Critics claim that putting someone in charge who has openly challenged that economic model is not a step toward reform, but a risk to the city's future. Maher also suggested that ideas which sound appealing during a campaign often face much tougher tests once they have to work in the real world.
On a bus without worrying about a fare hike or whether you'll be able to get to your destination on time will no longer be deemed a small miracle because we will make those buses fast and free.
Maher argued that promises built around the idea of free programs often ignore a basic reality. Every public benefit has to be funded by someone. In his view, the appeal of those proposals can be strong during a campaign, but the financial costs become much harder to defend once the numbers are examined. He pointed to estimates from CNN that Mondare's proposed free bus program could cost roughly $800 million annually, noting that even Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul has expressed skepticism about the proposal.
All of his policies, I'm not trying to do that, but when you talk about, free childcare and free buses and all of this stuff, it's like free. It ain't going to work. It's not going to work. That is a doomed scenario. If you want a chance in the midterms, if you want a chance for the presidency, you better not lean far left the way that you did in 2024.
Right, Stephen A.
It will not work.
Stephen A. argued that his criticism wasn't about party politics, but about the financial realities behind major policy proposals. He questioned how plans such as free childcare, free public transit, rent freezes, and other government-funded programs would ultimately be paid for. Maher echoed that concern, arguing that if Democrats adopt Mondare's approach as a national strategy in the next presidential race, they could face the same questions from voters about funding and long-term costs.
There's Democrats and there's Democrat socialists. I mean, those are two distinct parts of the same party. I mean, they are obviously in a coalition together, but people who are Democratic socialists make that distinction. They say, I am a Democratic socialist. That's Bernie Sanders, that's Mamdani, that's the mayor of Seattle, a number of them.
And so far, it plays in big cities, but there's no evidence yet that you can take that outside of major metro cores in this country. And I think one of the fascinating tests of the 2028 campaign for president is there going to be somebody that reflects those views that can play beyond a New York, a Seattle, now Washington, D.C.? Look, Bernie Sanders is 0 for 2 running for president, okay? So it had been tried previously, and it hasn't worked. So the question is, can this play on the road somewhere else, South Carolina, New Hampshire, or Nevada, beyond a big city? It hasn't so far.
Maher argued that voters should recognize a clear distinction between mainstream Democrats and Democratic socialists, saying they represent different political approaches rather than the same movement. Critics also contend that this difference has often been blurred in public debate. Maher pointed to Bernie's 2 unsuccessful presidential campaigns as evidence, arguing that while this style of politics can gain strong support in college communities and major coastal cities, it has struggled to win broad support nationwide.
Zohran can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zoltar. Democratic socialism is like a dating profile. Things look great until you meet up in the real world. For example, Bernie Sanders, his big thing was always bringing single-payer health care to our country of 340 million. But when liberal tie-dyed Vermont tried to do it for a population of 626,000, it collapsed like that the Oval Office last week. Bernie, AOC, Mamdani are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're Democratic socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that.
Maher argued that the best way to help his own party is to openly address what he sees as its biggest political challenge. He described Bernie, AOC, and Mamdani as Democratic socialists, and said they should not be viewed as representing the entire Democratic Party. Critics argue that this confusion has hurt Democrats in competitive elections, with moderate candidates often facing backlash for policies associated with the party's more progressive wing. Maher concluded that unless Democrats clearly separate those political identities, Republicans will continue to benefit. He then shifted the discussion to what he believes is a broader cultural issue affecting the political left.
We have to be the good people. On COVID, on the people with the lawn signs. It's in this house. We believe there are no illegals on stolen land, and all love is. And things I don't disagree with. Of course, well, I disagree with the stolen land thing. That's silly. Either shut up or give it back. But just in general, they have this idea that they are only really fully alive if they are taking the cause of some marginalized.
Maher argued that constant identity-based activism has become overwhelming. Critics say many working Americans feel disconnected from politics they see as driven more by ideology than everyday concerns.
I must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it. Yeah, I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, I mean person who menstruates. You're the teachers union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person.
Maher mocked what he sees as contradictions within the modern left, arguing that party leaders stay silent because they're unwilling to challenge their own supporters.
Communists, that human was no longer selfish. In America today, that human is no longer born male or female. And obesity is not something that affects health. You can be healthy at any size. Really, we voted on it. A formerly serious magazine last year published with a straight face an article called "Separating Sports by Doesn't Make Sense." Yes, it does. Because again, we haven't reinvented Homo sapiens since Crystal Pepsi came out. I've spent 3 decades on TV mocking Republicans who said climate change was just a theory, and now I got to deal with people who say, you know what else is just a theory?
Maher argued that this marks a key divide between traditional liberals and the modern left. He claimed critics now see similar patterns of rejecting scientific consensus, just on different issues.
Get this straight. It's not me who's changed. It's the left, who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days. Which shows just how much liberals have their head up their ass, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero on their media. But that can't happen in this ridiculous new era of mind-numbing partisanship, where if I keep it real about the nonsense in the Democratic Party, it makes me an instant hero to Republicans. The same thing happened in reverse to Darth Vader's daughter, Liz Cheney, who is now a hero to liberals simply because she recognizes Biden did not steal the last election. What a sad commentary on our politics, where simply acknowledging reality is now seen as a profile in courage. People sometimes say to me, you didn't used to make fun of the left as much. Yeah, because they didn't give me so much to work with.
Maher argued that his views have stayed consistent, while the Democratic Party has moved in a different direction. Following Mamdani's inauguration as New York's youngest mayor in over a century and its first openly Democratic socialist mayor, critics called his administration a major political test. Share your opinion below and subscribe for more political commentary.